Why is breeding chocolates into your blue-eyed whites frowned upon? I have a couple of answers for you. One, it can cause a red reflect in the blue-eyed white eye, and that red reflect is a disqualification within the breed. And then also, when I've talked to other breeders, the blue-eyed white coat is very unrefined. It is very rough. It doesn't have the density, it doesn't have the bounce back that we want. There's a lot wrong with this color in general, just because it has not been perfected as much. And the problem we see with chocolates is a lot of times their density is also not that great. So not only are we introducing the red reflect into the eye, we're introducing a subpar coat into an already subpar coat. So by introducing chocolates into the blue-eyed whites, there's a bunch of things it could mess up. And for the shaded and the pointed animals, it can cause red reflex and other issues within the breed. And then also with the pointed, which includes ermine, do you know how hard it is to tell the difference between ermine and blue-eyed white in the beginning? That would be annoying. Like my friend earlier, I was showing her open eye pictures of these babies, which I will update on eventually, and she's like, that looks like a brown eye, and I'm like, no. I have already checked, it is a blue eye, it just looks brown because of the camera and their eyes aren't completely open yet. Like, these are not ermines, I promise. But I digress. Basically, breeding chocolates and shaded into the lines are frowned upon because it causes issues within the blue-eyed whites. And blue-eyed whites are challenging enough as it is already. We don't want to add extra problems into these lines. Someone was asking about the runt's ear in this litter, and Bear Claws Rabbits definitely hit it on the head. Daisy overgroomed this ear when the bunny was just a day or so old. It'll heal up just fine, but we'll never be able to show him because of it. Not that I would show this guy anyway, because he is a high rufous caster. I find it odd that anyone would bash someone over having a contract, because everyone should have a contract. And if you don't want a guaranteed return and you don't want to take the rabbits back, you should at least have a contract that basically says you are selling a healthy animal, that the person agrees that it's male or female, that you're selling it to them, and just other basics. Because you never know when a contract is going to save you. And at the very least, it can at least cut down on arguments with a customer who isn't happy with their purchase. I just cleaned out Daisy's enclosure for the week, and I have decided to take the box away from the babies. So I just took their nesting material and put them in a corner because they're already getting out of the box and they can't necessarily get back in. So they're just in that corner chilling. But it's really funny to know that the babies can kind of move around more, because Daisy will go check in on her babies. She will stand beside them and the babies will kind of like chase her around trying to nurse. And Daisy is just not having it. She doesn't want to deal with these things. So like this little caster baby is just kind of going all over the place trying to explore and see what's up, and chasing their mom around like it's business. And that little dark caster baby is just the spiciest little bean trying to pick him up. But I've just been watching them chase their mom around the cage. And taking the nest box out of the cage is really important at this phase anyway, so that the babies have access to the bedding, which is hay, and eventually they'll start eating the pellets that are provided as well. And it just really helps with the gut biome as the babies are getting older. I wish you could tell the sex of a quail simply by their egg. That would be freaking outstanding, and I could save so much money on growing them out or just selling straight up females. Unfortunately, we can't tell sex just by egg. For most breeds, you're going to wait till they are about 6 weeks old to sex by foaming and crowing, which is the most accurate way. But there are some quail that are color sexable. So some quail have little spots on their chest, which mean they are female, where the roos do not. And again, that is only with certain kinds of Coturnix. I got all of my quail stock from a friend of mine who was raising quails, but there are plenty of other hatcheries that are selling hatching eggs. But I have found the most success when it comes to day-old chicks being that of local producers. So if you're looking for day-old chicks or even quail that are weaned off of the light, I would definitely look at that. I kind of showed these guys off yesterday, but yes, the blue-eyed white baby's eyes are open. And it's really hard to see in this lighting just because it's indoor lighting and not outdoor lighting. But these guys have those bright blue eyes with no red reflect in them. You can kind of see it in this picture a little bit better. The light colored iris around the pupil. And of course, y'all will be seeing a crap ton more photos of these guys as they get bigger, because I am extremely excited about these guys. With this litter, I would prefer to have a doe. And if both of these babies are does, then I might play with the idea of keeping both for now. But if one is a doe and one is a buck, I would only keep the doe. And if I had 2 bucks, I would cry a lot and only keep 1 buck. I have a friend that's looking at getting into mini Rex coming up here. And I have to have the sit-down talk of, do you want to try to do blue-eyed whites or not? If she says yes, then one of them are going to her. And if she says no, then I guess we're only keeping 1 out of the litter. So the very short answer is maybe 1, probably 2, but we'll see. And I know that's all kinds of confusing. If I were in an area that didn't have breeders that pedigreed, what I would do is I would find the best quality that I could to the SOP or to my goals, and then I would start asking questions. Hey, I'm looking at buying this rabbit. Who's their mom? Who's their dad? When were they born? What color was mom and dad? How big did mom and dad get? And if they had those questions answered, I'd start asking about the grandparents. Kind of make them work to see if they could fill in a pedigree for me. At the end of the day, it's easier if they can give you information. But if that didn't work, then I would just start from scratch. I would start breeding my rabbits and pedigreeing them as I go. Because in theory, you can fully pedigree your rabbits in about 3 years. And it sucks when they aren't fully pedigreed when you begin, but you can definitely work towards it yourself. I totally understand this worry. Taking care of any animal, be it pet or livestock, can take a lot of time out of your day. With that being said, I haven't talked about my timelines when it comes to taking care of my rabbits on an individual basis. So I figure this comment is a great time to talk about it. When I have my winter numbers, meaning I only have around 20 minutes, it takes me about 30 minutes a day to take care of everyone when I'm gallivanting. So that's about 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night. And that's just me taking my time petting everyone and hanging out. During my summer numbers, when I have many, many more rabbits, it's probably closer to 30 minutes per time I'm out. So about an hour a day to take care of everyone. But that doesn't include any of the extras. That doesn't take into consideration nail trims, grooming, record keeping, breeding schedules, weighing animals out, or any other little things I need to do. But I normally do those things on weekends, and I normally allot myself about an hour or 2 on, Saturdays. When it comes to butchering and preparing, it takes me about 5 to 10 minutes per animal, depending on how much I want to break the carcass down. If I leave the carcass whole, it's closer to the 5 minutes. If I'm actually taking time to debone or to break up the certain parts of the animal, it's closer to 10. But the more you practice your butchering skills, the faster you're going to get at it. Also keep in mind, the fewer animals you have, the quicker they are to take care of. And if you're really paying attention to just your daily feed schedule, you can probably do it faster. I just pet bunnies too much. But yeah, that's kind of my general timeline idea when it comes to rabbits and raising them. And maybe it'll help someone try to figure out if they really want to do it or not, or if they're on the fence. Something we do from a very early age with our show rabbits is get them ready for the show table. And this includes just flipping them over so that we can look at their feet and their teeth and their genitals. And doing this when they're itty bitty is just a great way to get them desensitized to that. And then the other thing you want to work on really young is just posing. Because it's easier to do a little bit when they're very young like this and get them used to it than when they're older and just a little harder to handle. The worst they do right now is just kind of run away as you're kind of just posing them up. But I absolutely love the baby bunny stage when the mini Rex are that small. It is just the cutest thing ever. We trim rabbit nails about once a month. Normally it keeps them under control enough to where their scratching us isn't so bad. And I've really thought about either getting the Kevlar gloves or the Kevlar sleeves that a lot of judges use. But knowing me, I would constantly forget them in the house. So I'd have these really expensive sleeves that I would never use. Also, please ignore my toddler. She wants to hold one of the baby bunnies. What do you want?
I want the bunny.
To pet the bunny?